thanks for joining us again. This is Newspaper Review. I am Moses Humphrey.
And I am Chukwuma. Thanks for joining us again.
And yes, of course, we have Daily Fanimo with us, who is he's a seasoned reporter and also a public affairs commentator. Good to have you join us.
Good morning, Moses and Chukwuma.
Good morning, Daily.
All right, now let's dive into it. We'll be talking about a few things. Just before we came on, we're talking about the visit of Bill Gates and the conferment of COFR, Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, on Bill Gates. And I was just asking, why exactly is this a business move? But anyway, we also have a guest joining us from Benin, Dr. Bright Onyevekuko, who stays with us from the morning show. Dr. Bright, thanks for staying with us. Good to have you with us.
Good morning, Moses.
Good morning once again. Okay. Anyway, I'm sure the news is somewhere in the dailies. We'll probably get to it in the course of the program. But you were saying something about the conferment of that third highest honor in Nigeria to Bill Gates, American billionaire. What has he done for Nigeria?
I know he has done so much for Nigeria. He has done so much for Nigeria. They rolled back malaria.
Yes.
It was a financier, part financier of a rollback malaria, and some other things, and so the Gates Foundation.
He's also been
provided
of pushing a GMO agenda, genetically
modified
agenda. How beneficial would that be to us, especially?
You see,
you have been through this for many times.
It's still an ongoing debate.
Whether it is ongoing or what, yes, it's ongoing. But a lot of
debate.
people like me don't even have a problem with it.
I know your stance on that, but it's...
And besides, how would you identify GMO when you see one?
No, they do.
They are
You are not schooled.
They are labeled.
Go to the village.
No, but they are labeled.
Give them in the village.
I understand what Dele is saying, because even some of, like, the pineapples that we eat, here, I understand are GMO products. So how do you identify them? Because they also are not labeled, except you go to superstores, to big
That's
malls,
what I'm saying.
Even here in Nigeria, GMO products, are they labeled?
That is the point.
They should be labeled.
They should be.
They should be, but
people know exactly what they are consuming.
in a country where you rebag local rice.
We have a doctor anyway, Dr. Bright. What's your take on GMOs? Are they harmful? Can they be harmful? Should they be labeled? Should Nigerians know exactly what they are consuming per time?
Well, it will take some time for us to actually know if they are harmful or not. But one thing I will state is that there are bodies that are kind of regulating some of those things. If they are going to be harmful from the onset, they will definitely speak on behalf of the people. However, we need to still get more information on
But
some
can
of
they
these
be
things.
harmful?
Because
Can they be harmful? I know you're playing
yes,
safe.
definitely, yeah.
I know you're playing safe in your response.
No. Of course, they can be harmful, because whatever thing that has gone off the natural routes is already posing a risk to the people.
The argument.
So
the argument that some people pose is that things have been changed from time. The seedlings that were there in the days of Adam and Eve are probably not the same that we have now. A lot of them have been modified with one injection or whatever. The seedlings have been changed over time. How do you react to that?
Of course, that's what the genetic modification is all about. Like those days, we were going to farm. We could have cassava farm for 5 years, 3 years. But these days, we have cassava for 6 months, 3 months. These are all genetically modified in a way. Those days when we were doing, biology, when we're talking about grafting, you will cut a part of a tree and place. It's all the same things. These are things that have been improved upon
over time,
with research, and it has come to date.
Okay. Well, now let's dive into the papers. Now we have the Business Day. We have Business Day, The Punch, The Guardian as well. Some of these papers don't have much on their cover page, so we'll go a little deeper into the papers. From the Guardian, this is the banner headline. It says, poll rates. Well, new terror group, Mahmuda kills 3 in Kwara. Poll rates, Tinubu government high as opposition critics disagree. Telcos kick as banks plan USSD fee deduction from end users. Mokwa flood, FG blames blocked tributary. Climate change. Crisis looms in APC as party rejects automatic ticket bid for aspirants. And yes, these are the conversations. Now, earlier in the day, we chimed in on the telecommunications, the plan to introduce fee deduction from USSD as against from data in the usage of USSD. So let's have your thoughts on this one, Mr. Fanimo.
On which one?
Telcos kick as banks plan USSD fee deduction from end users. Is this to the benefit of the people at the end of the day?
It's not. Honestly, some of these things are done free in Senate claims.
Free?
Yes. The fact that you are a customer to a bank, all those charges, maintenance charge, a lot of charges that you pay, it's enough to cover up these costs. Now you are putting, you see, the only problem I have here is most Nigerians, when it is not big, when it's not bogus, we just let it pass. But 6 naira from your account, 6 naira from my account, and 6 naira from 2 million account holders in a day, that's 18 million a day. And so in a month, you know what that means? In 1 year, you are talking of billions on just 6 naira that to pay.
Sorry, Dele, sorry to butt in. Do you also consider the service the bank renders?
Which service?
Like the
that has not covered the loan they give out at the rate of 37%.
So should they use that profit to feed?
No, I'm asking you.
No, I'm asking you too. Should they
Let me tell you. Look at the volume of profit.
Okay.
After tax. Each of these banks declare every financial year. Then look at the economy, which is in doldrum.
Okay, so
which means the banks are not servicing the economy. So and for a bank to service the real economy, it must service the real sector, which is the industrial sector. Which bank gives loan to industrial sector in this country?
No, Dele, you don't run their business for them. Do you think that they don't pay the telcos for the services the telcos render to them to be able to serve you?
To serve me?
Yes.
Some of these monies.
Do you think
there are payments made across board? Telcos pay the banks.
Yes.
You know.
No, the banks pay telcos.
There's an understanding that they have. So for whatever deduction is made, a percentage goes to the telco, a percentage goes to the bank.
Okay.
You know, but all of it, the basic thing here is the user is the one who is paying all of this.
Because the user is paying for a service.
Okay. Isn't it too much? That's what we are saying.
That should be the question.
Dr. Bryce, isn't it too much? Too much.
So what is the service? What is the service charge for if you send an SMS? If I send an SMS to you, how much do I get paid?
It used to be 4 naira.
But no, it's now 6 naira.
It's now 6 naira.
It's now 6 naira. Okay.
Yes, okay.
So
and
that's been increased.
That is even the annoying part of it is unsolicited messages.
Messages can also come. But you have the option. You have the option of having those messages sent to your email. I'm not sure they charge for that.
I don't know if they charge for that. But do you know that sometimes just one transaction, you can get as many as 4 messages?
Yeah, but do they charge you for each SMS?
They charge for each.
No,
I don't think they charge.
I said they charge for each.
No, I don't think so.
Well, you wouldn't know because they send
at the end of the
charges
month.
at the end of the month.
It's bulk.
Bulks up.
They say, okay, SMS charges.
Yes.
I think that is what we should be concentrating on, not the fact that, if you ask me, not the fact that they are taking a fee, because they are rendering
Of course, they're rendering a service. Dr. Bright. Dr. Bright, let's have your take. You might need to unmute your microphone, Dr. Bright.
Is unmuted, yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, well, they are rendering services. But it's good also that the person you are rendering service to should understand the bill you are sending to the person. This issue of telco, sometimes I just say, usually in the night, I just say telco 6 point something, telco 6 point something. And I'm wondering, where is this one coming from? It was later I realized it was this USSD. You see, these service providers hold Nigerians a duty of explanation. Some of these charges, you just see them, they don't make sense. But you don't even have, who are you going to complain to? Where are you going to complain to?
But
So
you can
they have the duty
unsubscribe.
of responsibility.
But do you know that you can
It's not even a question
unsubscribe?
of when you go to the bank, the message you are filling is your alerts, not those they are messages that are filling your inbox with unnecessary thing. Who may even have the time to start dialing, looking for one code to unsubscribe, they start asking you this or that. But again, they have that duty to let Nigerians know. It's so painful that when things are positive, it don't get to the masses, but when it's negative, they push it down. Like Daily Halima just mentioned just now. Yes, they are rendering services. There are different kind of charges that they put in place. So whatever one that comes up, why would they want to push it? There are some places I go to, I want to buy something. I believe that whatever charge they have has been factored into their POS. If you now tell me, oh, I'm adding 100 naira, I'm adding 50 naira because I'm using your POS, I ask the question, are you not doing business? You know, if my bill is 100 naira and you're telling me I'm going to bill you 150 naira because of POS charge, it has already given me one kind of mindset that what's happening. Meanwhile, I also go to some places, I'll just pay direct. So if you are putting any form of extra charge, the people who you are serving, they need explanation.
Okay.
So the banks should not just say because my money is with them,
Okay.
whatever thing they feel they can take at any point in time, they can go ahead and take. It's not good.
Okay, I think the discussion at this point, we've established the fact that there is a charge, there's a fee. Now the problem is now migrating this fee from your cash in your account to your airtime. Now telcos are also kicking. Say no, you don't do that, because it looks like you are putting us in more like in harm's way, or you are
No,
putting us
because
open.
you've recharged your phone
Your
already, so
phone.
you have credit. So let's
have
just
credit.
say you have a 500 naira airtime.
Now
So
you do an USSD transaction.
They take from the airtime.
They take from the
which is
airtime.
to the benefit of the user.
Which
because
is-
I know it's
To the
it benefits
benefit-
me.
Yes, because your money in your account remains intact.
Remains in my account. Remains
So,
intact.
but like I said in the morning, head or tail, you pay. So it depends on when do you
yes, you
want
pay,
to
but I would rather pay from my credit than pay from
Your account.
my account.
But-
Because, like I
But
said,
the bottom line is that it is you that is paying.
no, it's okay if I pay.
Okay.
It's okay if I pay. I mean, I'm paying for a
For
service
a
anyway.
service rendered.
Yeah. But if the money is taken from my account and then repeatedly, it depletes whatever value I
You
have in my account.
Like I complained, I think I have 5,000 naira in my account. I said, let me go and buy something of 5,000 naira. And I go there, I put in my ATM card. They say insufficient fund.
Yeah.
And I open my app, I see transaction history. I discovered that deductions of about 1,400 naira, which is labeled SMS charge, on my credit. So I can't even do a transaction then, because at the back of my mind, I think I'm still having 5,000 naira, and I'm like, I have money.
You're bugaing.
Yeah, Bugatti. I go to do a transaction. I don't have money. So it is better, because it's easier for me to recharge my credit than to go and put money in my account in the bank.
All right, then. Well, let's move on to other conversations now. Let's talk about the Mokwa flood. It's still in the front burner. The Guardian tags this headline: Mokwa flood. FG blames blocked tributary. Climate change. The Punch has it as its banner headline. It says, "Flood alert. NEMA deploys teams in 15 high-risk states as agency warns of fresh heavy flooding. FG insists on evacuation. Niger recovers more corpses. So out of the 1,000 missing, there's probably more. And then the Vanguard tags it. It's also a banner headline on the Vanguard. The Vanguard says, Niger flood, 1,249 communities in 30 states, FCT at risk. So basically, 31. FG, that's according to the FG. And then the riders to that says no water was released from Kanji Jeba dams. Notes, flood caused by heavy rainfall, heightened by global warming, as states take up FG's challenge. All right, so that's the headline on the flood as it cuts across some of the dailies that we have right here. The people are being blamed. It's interesting that the people are being blamed. I said this earlier. A government official did say that, look, you know, the people in Mokwa were affected because of the structures. You know, they were low-plain gully areas. That was where they built their houses, in gully areas. But weren't they given the land in the first instance? Shouldn't government know that this is the pathway of the water, if it's flood waters, if it's from the dam, you know, whichever one, there should be a pathway of the water, and maybe people will be asked not to build houses along the pathway of the water. But to now blame the people for the disaster, I think is disheartening to think about, really.
No, for me, I'm not sure there's any way government can, absolve itself from responsibility for what has happened, and instead try to scapegoat the people that the people are responsible for. Like you rightly said, if people built in all those places, they didn't get approval before they built. And I also said, look, I'm very ignorant. I don't know Mokwa. You know, I don't know if it is an urban area or a semi-urban area to talk about approvals made for buildings and all that.
Yeah, but from the pictures we've seen, we can tell it's a rural area.
It's a semi-urban.
It looks like a rural area.
Semi-urban, rural area.
Even in rural areas.
Okay.
Every local government has its own land planning authorities.
Okay.
That's why if you build shops where you're not supposed to build shops, they will come and put
eggs
there.
Remove, and all of that.
So it cuts across states, local government.
All three tiers of government. Now that said, the thing of it is that I would like for us to, and I would like the authorities to get to the root of this matter. Because when you say it's because of climate change, do we have the ice caps, are they melting? And which other part of the world has been affected? But for Nigeria here,
heavy rainfall, probably.
Heavy rainfall.
Climate change in terms of heavy rainfall, use of carbon.
If we want to say,
depleting the ozone layer.
Okay.
And then heavy rainfall in the process. That could be attributed to climate change.
To climate, I understand. So that's why I asked. The ice. Do we have ice caps here?
No, we don't.
We don't have. And when they melt, where do they float to? You know, is it to the Atlantic or?
Can't we? If the climate is changing, can't we change with the climate?
That is another question. That's another
How
question.
do you
So anyhow you do it, anyhow you turn it, the responsibility goes back to government, the authorities. I know that. Look, government cannot do everything. But the little ones they are supposed to do, like put out information, make approvals, have consequences for people that defile those approvals, people that contravene those approvals. Unfortunately, we are here again. My worry is that by this time next year, like when we discussed Allow Dam last year, I did say that probably we'll come back to this studio next year to also talk about another incident. And here we are. And I want to sound the warning that if there is September.
This is just the beginning
of
rainy season.
Rainy season. And
so now,
so that goes to tell me that was why I was questioning how come we attribute this thing to climate change, because this is early rainy season. So what happens in September? What happens in July?
They've told us what is likely to happen.
So that clearly tells me that it must have been as a result of the opening of the dam.
Which government is denying?
Which government is denying? Which government is denying? And the people are saying no.
If you travel between Okene, Lokoja to Abuja during rainy season, you will know that some of these things are not basically what we are attributing it to. I mean, they are attributing it to climate change. It's been a perennial problem before the discussion on climate change started. People build on low land. And that belt, when you are getting out of Lokoja, you know there's a naval base on the right, going inward Abuja. That place, anytime there is rain, you don't barely see the roof of those buildings as you are traveling along that belt. And it happens every year. And people are not evacuating. Allow Dam had problem last year. We are here discussing what are the things that government had done since that time and now that will prevent another Alao disaster this year. We were told that private individuals donated over 17 billion. Government later released another round of maybe 15 billion. So total amount to mitigate the effect this year is over 30 billion. What has government done to ensure that whatever aggravated that thing last year is mitigated this year? I've not seen anything that government has done. And the same thing will happen in Mokwa, even before the end of this rainy season. Rain just started, and NIMET told us that there will be 150 days of rains this year. And we have not even coast maybe beyond 20 days. And we are having this kind of disaster. Now we are left with 130 days. So you can imagine what will happen in the next 130 days.
So don't you have faith? Because
okay, that's been reduced to faith.
No. There's a headline I'm driving at because they did
maybe
say
we should appease the gods.
That well, they did say they've sent officials to areas that are likely to experience flooding.
What are they going to do?
To evacuate the people,
to where?
Encourage people to leave low-paying areas to high-paying areas. That's what government is proposing.
Moses, if somebody tells you as you are stepping out of this studio now that in the next 2 weeks, armed robbers would invade your area, what is the contingent plan that you have?
Well, if it's
are you going to come to my own house with your wife, your kids, and then your load? That's the point. I keep saying it here that in other countries, there are places built for this kind of disaster.
Indeed.
The moment there is a signal, it is only in Nigeria that we don't even reckon with this thing, this weather forecast. In other climes, it's a Bible. Because it could be sunny in the morning and it will be freezing cold in the evening. So they would have warned you. You know how to prepare. But here, how can you tell me that Mokwa, this Lokoja that I'm talking about, if it's going to be 150 days of rain, then you can imagine what will happen this year compared to the previous years.
If you want to build shelters, for displaced people, and we understand that 31 states
will be affected.
So how will you do that?
I'm praying that my state will be among the 5 that is left.
Okay, your state will be among the 5. So it's huge. It's huge, for the government. I think like what we are discussing now is at the preliminary level, both people and government should take authority, should take responsibility. Because if you are trying to build a house, and it's below what sea level, and you don't get approval, please don't build. Because after 10, 15 years, you are going to arrive at this junction.
But I can assure you that government officials will even give approval
and collect money. So it's like the whole problem is it takes two to tango between the victim and the person that caused the problem. So where do we go from here? Unfortunately, my own state is even mentioned. Abia State is one of the states that will be affected.
Imo State, Lagos, and the rest.
So what do we do? Where do we go from here? And mind you, every year, from the ecological fund, you know where the money comes from.
Of course.
From from derivation, when they start, well, after sharing, they put a certain amount of money on the ecological fund. And every year, they share in excess of 30 billion naira every year to the 6 geopolitical zones and Abuja. So what do we do with this money?
They provide relief material.
They wait for the things to happen. They wait for the problem to happen.
Yes.
They now go and buy palliatives. And in the process, they give you buckets, pillows and foams and all of that. Next year, they go to another location. We can't travel far in this direction. We can't.
Of course. Dr. Bright, let's have your reaction.
It will be far easier to restrict those areas that are high risk than relocating those people. Because the cost of relocation is far higher than the cost of restricting. And if those areas are restricted, because maybe so people will be doing business or something around that areas during a certain time of the year, then they will have temporary shelters there. So they can't have permanent shelters. They cannot be calling that place a place where they will be staying. This is where the government.
All right, we seem to have a network, an audio problem there. Unfortunately, we do hope that we can rectify that. And yes, and continue the conversation with Dr. Bright and Yeva Kuka. But let's dive into some other headlines now. Crisis looms. This is from The Guardian as well. Crisis looms in APC as party rejects automatic ticket bid for aspirants. Gentlemen.
Yes.
Crisis within the APC. Now, before you react to this one, they did say no automatic ticket, but they could have, but they can have consensus, you know, a consensus candidate. So they can have that. Is that not the same as automatic ticket? If you have consensus, is that not a new door? But anyway.
I think what they mean by automatic ticket is that, look, if you are, it's more like cancelling the first offer of refusal for a certain level of people. Because they say National Assembly members. You know, because you can't, I'm not sure anybody will toy that with the president. You know, because this is clearly an APC thing. They say, for National Assembly members, no automatic ticket. What it means is that you have to hustle. In our local parlance, you have to hustle for your ticket. So I think it's a good thing because people have to show working.
Oh, they said you can have a consensus candidate. So if you have a consensus candidate, is it not the same thing as automatic ticket?
No, it is not. What a consensus candidate means that people are going to sit at a round table, and now, if there are rough edges, they are going to cut off those rough edges to make it round. Automatic ticket means, look, you are in the National Assembly, you are a senator. You already have our ticket. So no, it's not negotiable. But consensus means that, look, we can sit around a table and now discuss, okay, if you take this, I'll take this. If you take this, I'll take this. More like in a matrix box. What are you able to take out and what are you able to let in, remain in that box? That's what I understand by consensus and no automatic ticket.
Okay.
What's this? I'm more worried about hiking price of forms, nomination forms and all that. You see, when you continue to price elective positions out of the reach of the common man, you are also encouraging corruption. Because that means if I have to contest, then I must find ways and means to have that money. And whatever ways will justify the end result. And that's why these people, when they get to office, of course, by now, most of these people in the Senate, in the House of Reps, State House of Assemblies, and even governors, deputy governors and all that, they would have amassed so much that even if they say governorship should go for 500 million naira, they can afford to pay. But a better candidate who is just in the private sector struggling, how will he get 500 million naira to pay? And that means we are back to the same level where we fight and condemn, criticize every day. Because we are helpless. It is only those who can pay that will be fielded. And you have to choose the devil whether you like it or not. And then we go back to this same problem that we talk about every day. We want change. We want things to get better. We want a better economy. Whereas we are pricing these things out of the reach of the people who should hold offices. For instance, I was discussing with Chukuma last night when we were going home. I said, do you know that until a day to the election, in the last election in Ekiti State, that threw up Oyebanji, everybody was rooting for Segun Oni. I was there, I monitored that election. But a day to that time, when money started rolling out, honestly, everybody changed. And you saw the results.
The money factor.
The money factor.
The stomach infrastructure.
I'm telling
That
you.
started with Oshokomole.
Oshomole. Yes.
Oshokomole, not
Oshomole.
Yes.
You know, so now, which means at that point, people were no longer looking at somebody that would take them through better governance in the next 4 years. They were looking for the immediate.
So ultimately, the people have a role to play.
Yeah, they have a role to play.
So those that say the people should be blamed for the leaders they get are not wrong.
They're not wrong. They're not wrong.
Okay. All right then. Well, let's take a few other headlines now. There's this headline here. This headline here reads, Presidency to Afenifere. It's from the Vanguard newspaper. It says, Presidency to Afenifere. Tinubu's economic reforms, painful but necessary. All right. Oh, I think I missed out on the states that are high flood risk states. So I'll just take that one, so we inform the public. If your state is mentioned here, you start to look around your vicinity and see if you've had gutters overflowing in your streets. Then you know that it might be, a high risk area. You can start moving. I mean, it's not funny anyway, but hey. Abia.
Yes.
Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, FCT, Gombe, Imo, Jigawa, Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, Oyo, Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba, Yobe, Zamfara. So these are the states.
Basically, so Ekiti is out of it.
Ekiti is not on this list.
Interesting. I'll run to my mother's place.
Okay. All right then. Well, let's react to this headline. Okay, there's another headline here. FG saves 12 million girls from cervical cancer in 9 months. Still from the Vanguard. We also do have COS Oluyede relocates to Benue with PSOs. Killer headers creating community of widows. Benue women cry out. Anti-kidnapping protests. Uneasy calm as soldiers, policemen take over Abraka. I'm trying to see if I could get into this story. Well, let's see if we can, in the course of the program, locate this story. It says, anti-kidnapping protests. Uneasy calm as soldiers, policemen take over Abraka. Well, there's also the headline here, insecurity. Tinubu Matawale should be commended for reinvigorating Navy. That's coming from Saka. Well, these are the headlines. This anti-kidnapping protest, do you have the meat of the story there?
Yes, I think we also have a video of it.
Okay.
We also have a video of it. Maybe we can just put it out. But the story...
If we do have the video, let's have that one up. Let's have that one up on our screens.
Okay. Now, I think the story is that, look, a certain group of youths in Delta State went to protest against kidnapping because apparently, according to them, the government, the police, the security agencies
Are not doing anything.
are not doing enough, to stem the rise in a number of kidnapping cases. And all of a sudden, instead of police, trying to engage them and see how to solve the problem of kidnapping,
Well, at least listen to them.
Listen to them. They started shooting at attacking the protesters. That is what happened. So at this point, what it clearly shows that people don't even have the right to protest. So you just keep dying, you stay in silence.
Are you sure they heard,
That's the story
they heard
that
the
is out
chants?
there.
Are you sure they heard what the people were saying, or they just felt these are people coming to attack us?
Well, I'm not in a position to.
I understand.
So, but that's the story out there that innocent youths, unarmed people that were protesting against kidnapping, that the police opened fire on them.
My goodness. Well,
This is Nigeria. Everything happens. Anything can happen.
no, that's heartbreaking.
The narrative they are putting out may not be the same as those who
let's.
witnessed it.
I would like for us to hear Dr. Bright Onyevakuka.
I think it's
closer.
closer.
It's closer.
Yes, it's closer. If we still have your audio, Dr. Bright, let's have you. Are you privy to this news? Do you have any information in this regard?
Okay, well, I came across the news yesterday that police were shooting at those who were protesting in that area because of the issue of kidnapping. And because of this, the jungle justice thing that happened the last time in Edo, and of course, Edo and Delta, they're almost the same, and the people feel, okay, well, what should we do? Let's inform the authorities, which is the police. But somehow, what went wrong, I really cannot tell. I need to get more information about that and know what happened. But one thing I'm so sure of that I know in this environment is the fact that the trust with uniformed personnel is gradually, in fact, as drugs. The citizens seem not to have that confidence in them, especially the police. So you could have among the protesters those who may be willing to generally say this is our concern, and those who are coming with prejudice. But one thing is sure, and we must reiterate it: no uniformed personnel has the right to shoot directly at people who are protesting. There are measures they can use to disperse the crowd, but shooting into the crowd is a no-no, and that should not be taken at any point in time.
It's a no-no, but we see it happen. It has happened repeatedly, and we don't hear that people are court-martialed.
I recalled those days when there are protests, even when it goes violent. They have these
Rubber bullets.
no, not even rubber bullets. It don't even get
Water
hot water spraying can that they spray to disperse them. And tear gas is still also useful. When you tear gas a crowd, not many people would be able to stand it. But you just suddenly open fire on defenseless crowd. I don't think it's right.
Our police forces, the Nigerian police force, that name force even in there is just, they're not tutored enough to know how to use the weapon that they are given. And don't we have anti-riot police?
Those ones have been.
That's the mobile police force.
That's the police mobile force.
Yes, police.
But those ones have been shared among political and non-political actors.
Yes, early.
You see a
And
pastor having
banks and insurance companies and eateries.
those ones have been shared out. That's why you see one pastor having 10 mobile policemen guarding him and his wife.
You know what is even more concerning is the fact that sometimes when you want to do protests to secure some kind of dividends for the people, the police will also be beneficiaries.
Of course, at the end, because they're part of the people.
Because they're part of the people. But what happens is that I don't know the kind of mental orientation that they are given. They see the populace.
They act like that the people is against them.
It's against them. They see you
so
as an enemy.
Attack.
They just see you as an enemy. That is the kind of training they are given. They see you as an enemy. Because during the NSAS protest, I was in Enugu then, and people poured into the streets. And when the police came, one young man ran. He ran into an enclosure, locked the He was very unfamiliar with that environment. He saw a key and locked the place. You know, a policeman got very close to that place. The guy had, after he locked it, he felt he was safe. But he couldn't escape because it was in an enclosure. You know, like it's more like a small room or like that. You know what happened? The policeman just got in there, got close to him, and shot him.
Shut the door.
Shot the guy. Shot the young man. My church member. A chorister in my church. Shot him and killed him. The guy had escaped. You know, when police arrived, you know, in their patrol van, people ran away. And in the hot pursuit, he went after this young man who found a place, ran into that place, and he went and shot him closely. And people
Not even arrest and then make him.
arrest him, shot him. That was how that young man died.
I've said it. I said, the ones I fear most in the force today are sergeant and inspectors. Do you know how many of them that have been dismissed in the last few days?
Does this have anything to do with the fact that a lot of them are not, they have lesser education before being absorbed into the force?
As a matter of fact, if you want to go to that area, it's another problem. It's a psychological problem. Some of them, they have degrees, but they remain sergeants, corporal. Whereas,
but very, I think some weeks back, there was
they
a memo.
PhD holders.
Yes, there was a memo that every officer that has a degree
no,
should
PhD.
be promoted. No. I think it cuts across.
Moses.
The information I
Go
have
back.
is that it cuts across.
I read it in the papers. It was in the papers.
BA, if you have a
I said
degree.
it was in the papers.
Yes, it was in the papers. Okay.
How did
We'll
they
look for
even
that
acquire
stuff.
these degrees?
Some of them got degrees before they joined the force.
Okay.
They now kept, you see, they are also to be blamed. They will keep, when they say they want to recruit non-commissioned officers, they will keep their degree and apply with USAT.
Yeah, because you need to get a job.
Yes, because they are desperate to get a job. So when you now get into the system, they will now say, but I have degree. They will say, no, you won't be promoted. I know a guy, up until maybe recently, he was a constable when he joined the police force. Along the line, he went to UI and read medicine. He became a medical doctor. And as a corporal, he was drafted after his medical training. He was drafted to the police clinic in Ibadan. And he was the head of doctors in that clinic. And he still remained a corporal.
So how do you explain that?
So now, if you now find somebody who has a master's degree, still a sergeant, and the person that is his boss, I experienced one thing when I was in Ibadan. I went to see a man who was, I don't want to mention.
Sorry to interrupt. Now, this is the story here. We hear that the Nigerian Police Force has announced that it will be promoting officers who have obtained degrees, with some officers who joined the force with SSE but later acquired higher qualification, expressing concerns about lack of clear path. Now, this can be found in the Daily Post and some other papers. They asked for a collation of junior officers with BSc.
Okay.
So from BSc upwards.
Okay,
You
now
will be
there's a question I want to
promoted.
ask. What is the value of the education that we have, the education that we acquire? If you have a master's degree and you are in a police force where you are paid 75,000 naira per month, so what can you do with your master's degree, in society, that you are able to go and fend for yourself? So
That's why some of
is
them
it
are
for the
angry.
love of the force or for what?
Okay.
That's why some of them are angry.
All right then. Dr. Bright, let's quickly get your reaction in about a few seconds because we will be going to the streets now to hear what Nigerians are saying. Dr. Bright, let's have your contribution.
Okay, for the Nigerian police force, you see that somehow they've been dehumanized. And when have been dehumanized, would not have a proper psychology. Some of the reform that need to be done is training and retraining. There are some places that the police can go to. They don't need to go with their gun. They don't need to go with that AK-47 that they are holding. What they need is a communication gadget. If the need arises, they can call for backup or anything. But everywhere you go to, a policeman going to the market, going to this, going anywhere, is with that gun.
Yes, it's like a
Weapons
handbag.
are for intimidation. They don't even help security.
Indeed.
So the police should be checked. They should be trained.
It's even worse. It's even
They
worse
should know where
because
to act.
the other day, I was reminded of how we were threatened by the police. Where the name of the police, they use it in threatening kids. When my neighbor told his child, "I'll call the police on you now," and the child started crying. I just remembered. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" So we still do this thing. I'll call the police, and then the child will feel like, "Oh my goodness." That's we are imbibing the culture of fear against the police in our children. Anyway, thank you very much, Dr. Bright.
Okay.
Sorry. You want to say something?
Again, yes. What I also want to state is that in the police force, people were recruited for different purposes.
Okay.
They should also delineate those purposes. You don't have artisans come and do the job of general duty, because when we just see them wearing uniform, we just assume that a police is a police. The Nigerian police force should also come forward and let the citizen know who should be doing this, who should be doing this. A police is not just a police. They have their special and specialized duties, and they should stay with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Dr. Brighton Nevakuka, for your contribution. Thanks for staying with us. Big thanks also to Dele Fanimo, seasoned reporter, public affairs commentator. Thank you for your time. Thanks for staying with us. Chukuma, in a few seconds.
Yes, join me at 6 o'clock on Political Lens. It promises to be very, very interesting.
All right, we're not leaving you just yet. We'll take you to the streets. I am Moses Humphrey, but we'll take you to the streets where Matthew Ogunswada is speaking to Nigerians as they react to the headlines from the dailies. Let's leave you with Matthew. Matthew, good morning. What are Nigerians saying? You can take this one away.
Thank you so very much, Moses. Good morning, and good morning to everyone in the studio. Good morning, Nigerians. It's another beautiful morning on the streets of Lagos. And as always, Voice of the People Television is at the newspaper stand at Ikeja to bring you the opinion of Nigerians on what's trending on the newspaper dailies this morning. And I have with me a Nigerian that would like to react to one of the dailies this morning. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
My name is Emmanuel White Emmanuel, a public analyst.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, sir, which of the stories would you like to talk to us about this morning?
Anyone you want me to talk about, just ask me, then I'll say my own opinion about it.
All right, let's talk about NEMA deploying emergency respondents to 15 states ahead of flooding and other issues. What can you talk to us about that?
Well, NEMA have been trying their best as far as I'm concerned, because NEMA has on several occasions told the whole nation that they used to inform the governors of every state ahead of flooding. And most of them do neglect the advice of NEMA. And so that is why NEMA is making it very public now, so that everybody will know that NEMA has alerted these states of intending flooding that is coming. I think it's good, and let everybody see. Any governor that did not take any proactive measure at this time, then we will have that governor of that state to be blamed, for it, because flood were all over. Nobody can say, why did the flood happen? But it can be prevented. Governors of the states and the state machinery are able to adhere to the advice of NEMA. Time. I think that is what I see there.
Thank you. There are lots of advices from NEMA, but as regards drainage and system, what do you think can be done? What do you think Nigerian citizens should do better?
I think in the area of drainage, that's where we are failed. Almost all the cities in Nigeria, their drainages are not always clear. And besides that, people throw anything on the street and they go back to the drainage. We don't have a good system of disposing our waste. People are so indisciplined about that. That they just buy something and When they finish eating, they dump it on the street, believing that cleaners will come and clean it. But before the cleaners come, you know, the breeze and the wind will take them into the gutter. Some people will even deliberately put it inside the gutter, thinking that the gutter is a waste bin. You know, so those things block the drainages. But I remember that in Lagos, some years back, especially during the days of Fashola, we had some people they call EFAG. You know, they were the one that cleared drainages. Every week you see them working. And so he was able to checkmate, you know, flooding through drainages. But now, most of our cities don't have people like that clear the drainages. Until when a problem comes, when flooding has come, that is when you see them running here and there to clear the drainages. That's not too good for us at all.
Thank you so much, sir. Another story that is trending is that the public opinion poll has rated President Bola Tinubu 40%, up from 14% that it was last year, meaning that a lot of people accept his policies this year as at April 2025 compared to 14% as at last year. You as a Nigerian, however, opposition are criticizing that, saying that there are still reformation and areas of improvement. But you as a Nigerian, what do you say about that?
I think as far as I'm concerned right now, we don't have a formidable opposition, political opposition against APC government. You know, I look at them and I see them that every one of them is pursuing their own personal ambition. If it's a collective ambition and then they look at the nation and see that, this nation is not well governed by APC, let us see what we can do. And then they come out with one voice, you know, not pursuing their own personal interest. That is why you see that most people are not reckoning with them. They look at them as the same, you know, PDP, AC, CPC, LP. They are just jumping from one party to another and then jumping and adding to themselves. So people look at them that they are the same thing. If they are the same thing, let us just stick to APC. So that is the reason why you see that surge, you know, in people trusting more in Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government. But for me, no. Bola Ahmed Tinubu government remains a failure. And, well, it is true that we cannot say now because we still have more time, you know. If they have moved from 14 to 40, it is possible also that they can drop from 40 even to less than 14 in the nearest future when people begin to see things and the way they are affected with the bad governance that we have now. That's how I see it.
Thank you. But ahead of that, a group of political civil society organizations are set to hold a protest against all these policies, harsh policies. Do you think it's worth it at this point in time? Or rather, Nigerians should just begin to speak out on the economic policies of the president?
I think that protest is overdue. You know, yes, it's worth it. Apart from Nigerians speaking out against bad policies of this government, it is worth it because sometimes speaking out does not even enter into their ear and their heart, and they neglect what the people speak, what the people say. But if there is a protest, and then the protest that will affect, you know, the government running day-to-day activities, then I'm very, very sure that they will sit tight. The protest is overdue. Let them plan it very well and go ahead with the protest, because we cannot continue to live with this bad governance and bad policies that is affecting us, bringing hunger, bringing lack of employment, and so many things are wrong in the government policy that is not yielding positive impact at all on the life of Nigerians.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. So many policies are not yielding positive impacts on the life of Nigerians, and it's a wake-up call for the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to look into the current economic hardship plaguing the country. Why that statistics say that the surge or the public opinion poll has rose to 40% from 14%. The Nigerian is also calling on the states that are affected by flood, and beyond that, to make sure that they ensure that there are preventive measures to ensure and avoid future flood in years to come. And this is where we draw the analysis on the newspaper review segment this morning. My name is Matthew Ogunsoade. I will see you the same time tomorrow. Thank you so very much for watching.